dogs at the crib. Shout out all my 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 dogs at the crib.
Come on. Come on. Faster, faster, faster. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. You got to get all the way down with the burpee. Chest to the floor. Chest to the floor. Come on.
You are. It does not look the same, and it shouldn't. So had you not quit, where would you be right now? What does consistency look like on your life? Do you keep going just when you're winning, just when you're feeling good, just when you're motivated and inspired? Are you motivated or are you dedicated? There's a difference.
I think I actually heard Jay-Z say it best, where he says, when you go and speak to someone about, your endeavors, what you're working on, because they don't understand it, they're going to project their fear onto you. That's them being fearful of what you're about to do, because to them, it's a risk that they would never, ever take in their life. So here you are asking someone who has no concept about what you're doing, never actually took a risk in their life, never even walked the journey that you're on for a day. They have no idea how you got to where you are or what you've been through to get to where you are. Their immediate response is going to be based on what they would do.
Good morning, everybody. I guess you could say good morning. Good morning / evening. I guess good evening might be more appropriate. I'm used to saying good morning. Good evening, everybody, whatever you consider it. It's evening, I guess, when the sun is down. It's evening, so I'm going to call it evening. How y'all doing? Welcome to Mindful Reality After Dark, where we talk about anything, really. All right. Hi, Nash. Hi, Tericity. Hi, Ma. Evening. How's everybody doing? I just finished watching. I was about to jump on an hour ago, 40 minutes ago, but I was like, oh yeah, I haven't watched the challenge. I have weird sleep habits. So I actually was watching the challenge at 8 something. I fell asleep 10, 15 minutes into it. And then I woke up at about 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11. I finished watching my basketball game. Then when the basketball game was done, I was about to jump on the live. And then I was like, all right, let me watch the challenge first. So this is not necessarily a challenge recap because I really haven't been doing those. But I liked episode 3 better than episode 1 and 2. I still feel like as a whole, the challenge picks and chooses what they want to show. And I understand they're rolling footage, I don't know, 24 hours a day probably. And they're trying to squeeze everything into a 40-minute episode. But I just feel like there's so much context missing from what they show us. And it leaves us wondering why certain things happened. And then sometimes they choose to show us little flashbacks, but it's not enough. I'll get more into that later. Well, the episode was pretty good. I actually liked the episode. I liked episode 3 more than I liked episode 1 and 2, despite the fact that episode 1 and 2 did have a little bit of drama. Like they had the Sylvia and Kellyanne argument, which was people argue, right? But the thing that got me the most was when Sylvia told Kellyanne, she was like, I have a family, you have dogs. I was like, yikes. That was a low blow to tell somebody, I have a family, you have dogs, because a lot of people consider their fur babies as their family. So I know that that comment is not going to be well received, nor should it be. I always say to myself, I've been mad at people before. I've said things that are mean to people before. Like everybody has. The thing for me is I'm not a low blow person, to tell you the truth. Like the things that I'll say that are mean, some people have things, it seems like, in the stash. Like if me and this person ever get into an argument, I will pull this card out of my back pocket and I'm gonna use it on you. Like I'm not that. Probably before I would even get to the point of saying something that is that hurtful to somebody, I just would more likely curse them out and then not speak to them. I'm not really gonna go on the side of using personals, and that's just me. I can't even really think of anyone that I've done that with. Maybe, like, I'm not saying I've never done it, but that if I have, it's so far back in my memory bank that I don't even remember it. I'm sure that I did that in my teens and probably in my early 20s, but in the last 10 to 15 years, no. I think that is just a nasty thing to do. Hi, powerful girl. I don't know what that means. IATT. Like, I'm not good with abbreviations or acronyms. I don't know. I'm not a mean person either in a fight. Can't take words back. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I've said this before, but there's certain people that are like, they'll say things in a moment when they're pissed off, and then they'll come and circle back to it and be like, oh, I'm so sorry I said that. I was angry. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to say that. I was just angry. I'm not that person. If I said it, I meant it. I can remember a very specific situation, and I'll give you that. I'll give you the scenario, because this is not even someone I talk to anymore, so I don't care. Myself and another person were having a conversation. Okay, let me start that over. I was introduced by a former friend of mine to a frenemy of hers, unbeknownst to that person. What I mean by unbeknownst to that person is they didn't know that they were a frenemy. They thought they were a friend of said mutual friend of ours. So I met that person, and before I even spoke to them, this friend of mine told me all this negative stuff about that person. I don't like this about them. I don't like that about them. We're not really friends, this, that, and the other. And I'm sitting here like, then why do you talk to them? Why do you hang out with them? Why do you act like you're friends? Why do they have your phone number? I'm not that type of person, right? So there came a time where my friend and that other person got into some kind of argument. I was not there for said argument. And within that argument, my friend was like telling this other person things about herself, and said, and that person was like, man, what are you talking about? Nobody thinks that about me. I've never done that. Nobody has ever said that about me. And for some reason, my friend was like, oh, plenty of people have. And I guess she was like, name somebody who did that. And she was like, Mark was somebody who said that about you. I didn't know any of this was going on. So I get an angry text message from said person. How dare you try to break up this strong friendship that I have with this person? I'm confused. I did hear about the Cara Maria drama. I actually addressed it on a prior video. I'm not really going to dive into that, but you can see my thoughts about it on I can't even tell you what video that is, but I did address it. Yeah, so anyways, decided to throw my name in there. Now, if you were following along with my story from yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, when I was talking about this other friend who did actually talk to me about this person who she said is a creep and who she said all this other stuff about him, and I did contribute to that conversation. This was different than that. I was there for conversations that this friend had about this other friend. But I was not contributing in this case. I was not even saying anything. I was just kind of, I was present when my friend had conversations mostly with other people, and I was just there. Or if they were talking to me, I was just listening. I wasn't really like, oh yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, this person is like that. It was nothing like that. So I actually always felt like, if you feel this way about this person, why are you acting like you are such close friends with them? So anyways, I was like, what are you talking about? Because I genuinely had no clue what she was talking about. And then she was like, you know exactly what you said. How dare you? I'm ashamed that I even thought that you were a good person. It's like, and this is a person who I did video and picture work for. So she was like, You should spend more time working on your craft and fixing up your photography and your videography instead of getting in grown folks' business and trying to be like toxic and separate friendships and this and that. And I'm so confused. At this point, I don't even know who she's talking about. And I don't know what statement she's referring to. So I was like, slow down. Like, let me know who you're talking about and what I supposedly said, and then we can go from there. And then she gave the name. It's like, this person told me about what you said about me. Still was being cryptic, still was not giving me specifics. So my first thing was reach out to that person. Hey, so-and-so hit me up and was very angry and said all this stuff to me, and said that the reason that she said this stuff was because you told her that you and I had a conversation where I said X, Y, and Z. I was like, first of all, when did we have that conversation where I said those things? Second of all, even if we had that conversation, which we did not, why would you even throw my name into an A and B argument? Like, what do I have to do with your argument with her? That has nothing to do with me. Why is my name in there? So she then tells me, oh, that I didn't think that she was going to make a big deal of that. Can you please do me a favor? Don't say anything to her about the truth about what happened. Don't tell her that you didn't say that. And also, I mean, just block her, just, that's not even really your friend like that. So just block her and delete her. Don't respond. So at this point, my mind is spinning with the ways that I want to handle this. Because what I really wanted to do was just to jump on a 3-way call and be like, let's clear this up right here. Because I am not having my name just thrown out there like that. What ended up happening? I thought about it for a little bit. And I said, okay, this third-party person was my friend. Were they my best friend in the world? No. But they became my friend. This was somebody that I was speaking to on a regular basis. I was seeing on a regular basis. Me and that person were doing business together. There was just... So my point of the matter is, I had built up enough of a credit with that person in my mind that I wasn't a stranger. So if you hear my name in something that doesn't sound consistent to who I am and who I've been to you, my first thing would be to ask. This is what I was told, Mark. Just give you the specifics. Flat out, I was told ABC. And I just want to reach out to you and ask you, is that true? And go from there. Because I've had scenarios like that. I've mentioned one on my channel before about somebody that I was seeing in college, where the person that I was seeing in college, okay, I'm going to read the comments and then I'm going to finish that part. It's important to be honest with your friends and say you don't need to say anything about other people. Just say you can't speak for other people. Just your feedback as a friend. Done. Anyways, so what happened in college was I had, oh man, this is a whole story of itself. I'm trying to give the shortest version I can. Wait a minute. Before I even get into that. to do my thing. Okay, so we got 5 liking and 1 like, 2 likes. Thank you for that second like. We need 3 more likes because
what sense does that make? The math is not mathing.
cool. I always got to throw my goal in there. Okay. So the situation I was talking about in college was, it's a long story, but I'm going to get a short summary of this. The shortest summary of this as I can. I was seeing somebody in college, and I did not initially even have an interest in this person. A friend of mine from since when I was like 14, 15, I met him. And we both went to the same college. And one day he introduced me to this girl, and when we were both in that college. And then he was like, what do you think of her? And I was like, she's all right. And he said, well, but what do you think of her? Would you date her? And I was like, I don't even know her. She seems nice enough, but I don't have that type of interest in her at this moment. I just met her. Long story short, this was somebody that I didn't know. He started going to that college a year before me and met her a year before me. And I didn't know. He was pursuing her for a year. She was telling him, no. And then when she met me, she told him she has an interest in me. He never told me that. He told me that he was trying to set us up to go out. And it didn't happen until maybe like 6 months after I met her that we actually started dating. And we didn't even start speaking like we were going to date until probably like 4 months after I had already met her. It wasn't an instant connection or interest or whatever. So one day he pulled me aside for like a serious conversation and tells me, I'm going to get to the super chat. Thank you for that. He pulls me to the side and has a serious conversation with me where he tells me, hey, Mark, I have something to let you know. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but your girlfriend has been after me since before you got here. Like that year that he was pursuing her, he was telling me that she was pursuing him. And then he said, we had an incident yesterday where she tried to hook up with me, and that was the first of many. This is a friend to that point. I was about 20 at that time. I met him about 14, 15. So I had a 4 or 5 year history with him at that point, which was a lot to know somebody for 3 out of your 4 years of high school, and 4 or 5 years at that stage of my life was a long time. And I had just met her that year. So, but even then, I still wasn't willing to just 100% take his word and not ask her any questions. So what I did was I called her up. I said, I'm just letting you know this is not an accusation, but this is just something that my friend said to me. And I cannot go without asking you, because then it's going to sit in my mind. And I just, what you tell me, I'm going to believe, but I need you to tell me. And I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, like no matter what it is. Not to say that you can be wrong. She could have lied to me, but. So what she did was, she was like, I don't even want to answer that question. What I want to do is I want to get you on a 3-way call. You, me, and her. That was back in the day. I mean, people still do 3-way calls now. But this was back in the day when, like, catching people with 3-way calls was a thing. So she called him up. She linked the call. She had me on the phone, actually. She called him and then linked him on the call. He answers the phone. Hey, beautiful. That already had me triggered. I'm like, what are you talking to my girlfriend like that for? And then she was just like, hi, so-and-so. And then he was like, so what do I owe the pleasure of this call? And she was like, I just have a few questions to ask you. I'm going to get straight to the point. Have I ever told you that I want you to be my man? He was like, no. Have I ever made a pass at you and tried to hook up with you? He was like, no. Did I do that? Did I make a pass at you last night? No. Have I ever done this and this and this? Like, basically everything that I had relayed to her, she was asking him that. Probably after about like question 5 or 6, he was like, why are you talking to me like this? I mean, I know that you you let me know that we're just friends and we'll never be anything more. I know you made that clear when I told you that I was interested in you, that you have no interest in me. And why would you even be asking me these questions? I don't understand. I was like, this close friend of mine of 5 years really made all this stuff up for the purposes of me breaking up with her so he would have another chance. I can't even say another chance because he never had a chance in the first place. But my whole point of that whole story was, even somebody who I knew for an amount of time and was a good friend of mine, I still fact-checked what he said before I just jumped to the conclusion and then accused her. I learned the hard way that if they aren't willing to put in the effort to communicate, they aren't worth it. Communication is key on any relationship. I hit the like on my way in. Thank you. He left no time to regret. He kept his D wet with his same old date bet. Me and my head high and my tears dry, getting on without my guy, Amy Winehouse. Thanks for the super chat. Okay, so anyways, the point of me telling that whole story was the fact that this thing that I'm talking about was a much lesser situation, and that person didn't even find it necessary to fact check. She never asked me, did you say this, this, and this? She just went on an accusation tour and started hurling insults at me. And frankly, with things that she like, I just feel like certain things, I don't believe when people are like, oh, I just said that out of anger, when it's like low blow, out of pocket type of things. Like that Sylvia thing where she said to Kellyanne, I have a family, you have dogs. That didn't come out of nowhere. It was like, if you ever get me angry enough, that's what I'm gonna say to you. Like those low blow comments about my skill as a photographer, videographer, whatever, those did not come out of nowhere. You had those in the stash for in case you ever felt like you wanted to use them. So anyways, I didn't even come back at her with similar stuff about her, which there's stuff I could have said. But anyways, I didn't do that. But I did ask her you know, in not so nice ways who she thinks she's talking to. And also, I was like, you should have checked your source, because the person that you are trying so valiantly to preserve your friendship with doesn't feel anywhere close to the same about you as you feel about them. I can tell you that for a fact. I'm like, I didn't say the things that it was claimed that I said. However, you are not my friend. So blankety blank blank blankety blank blank. Best wishes. Telling you, I'm not as nice off camera as I am on this camera. Just like I'm not as nice outside of a work setting as I am in a work setting. And even in that work setting, I give the respect until I don't get the respect. And then you don't get the same version of me after that. I keep it professional, but I keep it like as professional as possible. I'll say that. I don't always keep it professional, but I keep it as professional as possible. That's why I mostly have an excellent track record at work. Yeah, so I guess when I thought about it initially, I was trying to preserve my friendship with said person who came at me all spicy. But then I was like, if you're really somebody who was for me, if you're really someone who was my friend, if you're really somebody who cared about me, you would actually want to make sure that what was said was true. Matter of fact, you might even defend me when I was not in the room, because in my scenario where that person told me those things about the girlfriend of the time, I was like, I never said to him, oh my goodness, I can't believe she tried to do that. And I can't believe that she was trying to hook up with you, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I didn't tell him that I was going to talk to her about it, because he said, please don't talk to her about it. To me, that's a tell-all sign. Like, if you're telling somebody something about someone else and you're like, I'm just trying to warn you, please don't tell them. Listen, in some cases, I believe in confidentiality. That's not one of them. If it's got nothing to do with me, I can't even say that. There are some cases where it does have something to do with me that I would still maintain confidentiality. But if you're telling me something about a person that I am in a serious relationship with, of course I'm going to ask that person. What do you think I'm going to do? Just leave them because you said that without even having a conversation about it? That's wild. Hi, Cass, if I didn't say that earlier. I'm going to be on here for about another 12 minutes, I guess. I'm going to stay on here until 2 my time, and then I'm hopping off. This is your outlet. There is no corporate anymore, so I only have... It's been interesting without corporate. I do my own thing. I get up on my own schedule. I don't have to do the pleasantries or interact with anyone I don't have to. It's hard in a sense of obviously I've been here before. It's been a while, but I've been here before where you're not getting your money every 2 weeks and all that good stuff. But there's a lot of other things that I don't miss about that. I think I'm the same in most settings. I am not. Like, I have some qualities about myself that are okay. Let me just say this as an example. On this YouTube page, sometimes people get on here and say wild things to me in the comment sections. And it hasn't happened as much in recent years, but especially early on when I started, people used to get on here and say wild things to me in the comment section every week. It wasn't every live necessarily, but every week somebody would have something wild to say. And I would have people who were following my channel that would be like, you're much nicer than me, because if they had said that to me, I would have said or done this and that. It's not a matter of being nicer. It's a matter of you're just in the comment section chatting. You don't see my commentary like if I'm on someone else's channel. You don't see my commentary if somebody's arguing with me on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever. I'm not the same person as if I'm the one running the channel. You know why? Because I'm running a channel. So everything that I say is a response. This is all live. People can go back to it, rewind it, clip it. People can report it. My monetization can get taken away. You know, there's a lot of things that can happen based on the way that I respond to what people say to me on here. Similarly, at a job, someone says something wild to me at a job and I choose to curse them out or have some kind of reaction that matches their energy. Like, let's say it's a client. Client says something crazy to me. I say something just as crazy back to them. What do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen to the client? Probably nothing, because the company is concerned about making sure that they keep that client. Customer is always right. They want to make sure they keep their money. If I say something to them, they're going to be like, that is against company policy. Ding, we're going to write you up. We're going to suspend you. We're going to fire you, whatever. So that's what I mean. It's not meaning I'm, hey, how are you? Da, da, da. Like, I have a different personality, but what I mean is, like, I have to adjust my response. It's just a fact of life. And I think everybody does. I don't think that anybody doesn't, to be quite honest. There's just varying degrees to how different you are in each setting. That's what I tell people. I want to be known as a friend, that my friends know I'm not going to be sitting in a room, someone talking crap and not speaking up. Wrong is wrong. I need to go back to your library. I have not been talking about my employment online because I'm just not doing that anymore. So there's nothing to really catch up on when it comes to that. This episode for the Challenge All Stars was good. I liked it. Oh, that actually reminded me of something I was going to mention really quick before I go. The end of the episode with Anissa making that redneck comment. I thought it was interesting because I don't know how to say this. Somebody said that to somebody on my chat before. And the person that it was said to got very offended and said that that was an old term and gave a history behind that term and said, don't call me that ever again. And the person who said it apologized or whatever for saying that to them. I find production interesting because they keep out most of those things nowadays out of the episodes, but they chose to keep that one in. And I wonder why. They felt like, okay, we're not going to reprimand Anissa for that. We're going to put it in the episode. I'm not trying to say that they shouldn't have put it in the episode, but I'm like, what makes them put some things in the episodes and other things not in the episodes? And if you're asking about my personal opinion about that, it's because they probably thought, okay, you know, racial slur, slur about derogatory slur about sexual orientation, religious comments, political comments. This one, they probably felt like that's the one that we can put in there, that there's not going to be as big of an uproar as most of the other ones, and it will help the ratings for the drama. And from what I've heard, they've protected a lot of castmates in recent years from things that they have said. But they just kind of left Anissa out to dry with that one. I mean, she said what she said, and I know she said it was a joke. I know that Ashley, of all people, was probably thinking to herself, I got kicked off of the show for calling Josh gay. And Anissa says this thing about, this joke, this redneck joke, and mimics my accent, and nothing happens to her. So I think I felt like some of her offense was probably a little bit performative. I think she's like that in general. That's just what I see of her. But yeah, she probably had that in the back of her mind. Like, that's not fair. That's true. There are country folks that say that about themselves. And then there are other country folks that say, I don't like the term and I wish that people won't use it because of the connotations behind the term. I feel like most people who are from there call themselves that. But yeah, anyways, I found that interesting. And also what I have said about the Challenge All-Stars teams, like, you aren't going to win unless you have a partner that is fit. It's just the fact of the matter. They've changed up the challenge. The challenge used to be much easier. Now they've made these like marathon finals where you got to run a whole bunch or swim like we saw in the last one. And you got to have a lot of, not necessarily strength. You don't necessarily have to be strong, but you have to have a lot of endurance to be able to complete a modern day final. So you just know, like, a Veronica Katie isn't going anywhere. Frank probably cannot make it with Sam. Who else could I throw? Who else would I throw out of there? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily count out Anissa and Ashley. The reason why is because Anissa, even in her present shape, has made the finals before. I mean, I'm not going to say, like, I consider her a top candidate to win the finals, but people sleep on Anissa. Like, number one, she's an elimination beast, and she has completed multiple finals, like, not really in shape. But the average person who isn't in good shape will have a hard time completing a modern day challenge final, even in All Stars. It's gonna get boring if they keep sending, and Adam and Steve are gonna keep sending people home unless they start facing strong teams. The point to me is not just to throw in the team you think is the strongest. It's to throw that strong team in against a team that you think is equally as strong. Now, they could have lost to Janae and Beth, don't get me wrong, but I would say try to get them in against a strong team. But then again, I guess a strong team like Leroy and Devin that already has a star is not going to take a shot at a strong team because they don't want that strong team to come back and win and take a shot at them. Ultimately, how this season is shaping out is that I believe that the strong teams are going to play a little cautiously because they want to keep their star. And they want to stay out of elimination because they already have a star. So I think they're not necessarily partners in a sense, but they're like, let's work together. Let's not work against each other. I mean, there's a whole thing of them banning folks permanently who aren't. Yeah, that's true too. To bring back people, because I mean, Frank said some crazy things back in the day. Shane said some crazy things back in the day. Yeah, some of these people that they bring back, they're like, they've been gone for a while. So the fandom, especially probably the fandom of today, a lot of them are going to forget those things. So let's just run it back because these people are good for the ratings. My uncle has a PhD and still calls himself a redneck. I didn't know it was offensive like that. Well, the thing about it, Chiricity, quite honestly, is that the world keeps changing. That's just the truth of the matter. Something that wasn't offensive yesterday can be considered offensive today. That's why I don't try to keep up with any of that stuff. I just speak to people as respectfully as I can. If somebody happens to say, hey, such and such offended me, I'm like, I'm sorry, I won't say that to you again. It's as simple as that. My life is very simple for that reason. Anyways, oh yeah, Jordan too. Jordan and Ashley, yep. Thank y'all for joining me for my reality after dark. Appreciate y'all. If you haven't done so, please make sure to hit the like button. Drop a comment after this video is published and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm sure I'll see you at one of these events again
All
soon.
time, we've got Mark with the Mindful Reality podcast, who I've been a guest on, and it was a blast.
Thank you for having me, honestly, and I cannot wait to do it again. We will do this again in the future. I just know it. I just know it.
I'm just like, these people are, I don't know if they're sane or if I'm sane. Like, I could be the crazy one.